Will he do that the rest of camp, or was that just because it was a bit of a lighter deck?
No, we're going to continue to monitor his progress, obviously day by day, and go off of how he feels. But we'll continue to sprinkle him in from time to time.
There's a report that he was going to go on the PUP list and that he wasn't. But was there ever any consideration due to that?
I have no idea where that came from. So, and that's the God's honest truth. I have no idea.
Was it always the plan to kind of start him out in 11s with a few plays and then ramp it up as you go on in camp?
Yeah, again, I'm not gonna push him or get him out there sooner than he has to, and I want to make sure that he's 100%. He looked good today, and we're just going to continue to progress.
He's getting a lot of work with the twos. How do you split the reps as you go forward here between him and Nick?
Right now, I'm not concerned with the first, second, third team. It's just how we rotate the offensive lines, pretty much. There's probably going to be a day where he's in there with the ones, so I'm not going to get caught up in reps and who's getting what. At this, it's too early.
How did you look when you saw him out there?
Yeah, I thought he was comfortable. Did some nice things today. I mean, it was very, very limited, obviously, but we didn't do too much. I think we had 30 offensive plays, and it was good. It was a good first start for everybody.
The first time. At what point in talking to Carson, before practice, did you kind of get a sense that he would be able to, do what he did today? How did that?
Did I get a sense?
Like, at what point, in talking to Carson, did you get a sense of what he would be able to do?
Well, I think going back to the offseason, OTAs, and what we did with some of the 7-on-7s and individual work and things like that, and just wanted to progress him, especially when we're not in pads and there's no contact, things like that, and just all part of his progression, all part of the rehab process still, and we'll just continue to monitor how he is day by day.
For the first time since you've been coach, you opted not to do those first 3 practices with rookies and selective vets. Why was that?
I felt that these 3 days would be beneficial to a lot of the players coming off of last season, and really just to have three more days of rest. It was a little strange, even for coaches, because we're usually 3 days in, 4 days in, from that standpoint. But just decided to give the guys some extra rest.
Do you have any other plans to change the way you've done camp as you've done before in terms of pad periods, hitting periods, tackling periods?
No, not at this time. Everything's still the same.
There's so much focus on Carson right now, but you had a bunch of other guys who had been injured get back in 11s today. Jordan Hicks, Jason Peters, Darren Sproles. How encouraging is it to see those guys kind of take that next step?
Yeah, it's great to see them all back in there working, and every one of them they're gonna get more and more as we go, obviously, obviously encouraged and like where they're at, but at the same time we're gonna be cautious and careful as we go.
Doug, one of the only downsides to winning a Super Bowl is the fact that you guys have a little bit of a shorter off season. Do you feel like that affected your guys at all?
I don't. I was really happy with obviously the turnout of the players in the spring, and the guys that were here, even the guys coming back. Yesterday, they're energetic, they're eager, they're ready to go and turn the page and move on to 18.
Every year you come into camp with a message for the team, some sort of theme. What was it yesterday when you first had the whole group together?
Yeah, obviously, some of those are private internal conversations, but bottom line is this. Obviously we need to embrace winning, embrace the success. We need to learn from it. We need to get better as a football team. We got to focus on one day at a time, as we take training camps long. We're building this thing one day at a time. We're building to the start of the season. And so the players and coaches have to embrace it and kind of own up to it, that we're going to get everybody's best each week, and it's going to start in a couple weeks, with the first preseason game.
For you personally, after
how tough is it for you and the staff to balance the fact that Carson obviously wants to be out there, he's targeted week 1 like any player would coming off an injury. For you guys to balance that and also be super cautious, which I know you want to do, but how tough is it to balance that, because you have a guy that's ultra competitive that does want to play?
Right. It's a little tough, but at the same time, I'm listening to Carson and his body. I'm also listening to our medical staff and our doctors, and it's a lot like with really any injury. I want to make sure that he's really comfortable, and we're not pushing the envelope with it. Be patient with it, but at the same time, just give him enough work that he feels comfortable when that time comes to move into that spot.
We're a little over a strike injury. Excuse me? Strike injury. Is it serious? Right straight?
Yeah, it's lower body, below the waist.
As far as the guys who did start on PUP, Brandon, Chris, Alshon, timetable there, are they close?
I'm not going to get into specific injuries that way. I'm not going to put them on a timetable. I mean, you know how I answer those questions. I'm not going to put boxes around guys. We're taking it day by day, and we want to make sure they're 100% before we put them back on the field.
As far as Carson's timetable, you said there's no timetable, but the first game's 6 weeks from now. So at what point do you need to start shifting from rehab mode to preparing for that Week 1 game?
Yeah, a lot of time. 6 weeks is a lot of time. And we're still evaluating everybody. And I can't tell you exactly when that's going to be during camp, but it's going to be. I'm not gonna push him. I'm not gonna put him in. He and I are married to this deal. You know what I'm saying? And his long-term health, obviously, I want him to have success in this league for a long, long time, and I want to make sure it's right. And it's hard to say when that time is.
Is he locked up with you guys on that, or does he kind of push to want to do more?
Well, I mean, as an athlete, I think he internally would love to do more. And I don't blame him for that. That's just part of it. But at the same time, he understands where he's at, and my communication with him and what I expect, and he's comfortable there.
Has he expressed to you whether he wants to play a preseason game in the preseason or not?
Doug, you said the team needs to get better. Is that just something that you would say at the start of every training camp, or is that something based off how you thought they performed in the spring and how they came back?
I think it's a different football team. It's a little bit of a different team from the standpoint we've added some new faces through the draft and free agency. We do have to get better in all phases, and we gotta detail our work and hone in to what we're doing, X's and O's, and just make sure that we're attacking every single day we step out on the field. There were, like today, too many pre-snap penalties. Even though it was day one, there's a lot of pre-snap penalties. All phases, offense, defense, special teams. It's an area we can get better at. Something we've, struggled with in the past. So we got to continue to work and get better in some areas.
Winning a Super Bowl, what's the next big source of motivation for you personally?
I mean, the goal is to obviously win another one. And to win another one, and to win another one. I mean, that's why we get into this business, and that's the motivation. But listen, I'm not going to focus on the end result. I'm focusing on today, and we're going to get better today, and then we'll worry about tomorrow. So obviously the ultimate goal is to try to win again. We know how hard that is in this league. A lot of good football teams in this league, and we've got our work cut out for us.
Doug, if you look at analytics from other teams who are coming off a Super Bowl win, is there anything that jumps out on why they haven't been able to repeat?
No, not really. I think sometimes it's just, it's hard to say. I mean, I was on a team in Green Bay that came off the second year, and we went to the Super Bowl and lost, and we had a really good football team that year. So, I'm going to try to lean back on that experience and kind of think about some ideas and some ways to maybe improve from then, being on that team. But it's just a matter of just focusing it every single day. You can't let anything slide. I can't let things slide out here in the meetings, and we just got to sort of buckle down that way.
Timetable on when Carson's coming back, you don't want to rush him. But at what point over the next 6 weeks do you think that a decision needs to be made on who the Week 1 starts?
I mean, I don't need to decide right now. 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, I'm going to let things unfold, and I'm going to trust the medical staff. I'm going to listen to Carson. I'm going to see how we do in practice, and we'll make a decision when we get to that point.
Doug, who are some guys who came in impressive shape, who you could tell they really put a lot of work in since the last spring?
Quite honestly, all the guys. I mean, the way they attacked the conditioning test yesterday, and it was impressive to see the guys come in and be ready. I mean, that to me, that's the first sign of the guys are are motivated and dedicated to having a good camp. You know, the way they approached yesterday.
So everyone passed the test.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You would pass the test. Come on.
3 guys who haven't passed it before.
There have. Yeah. No, this was a good group. They all came in shape and ready to go. Yeah, it was great to see. All right. Thanks, guys.
It was great to get back out here, and we reported, got our conditioning test underway yesterday, and just getting back into meetings and going through it all. This is my 7th year, going to training camp, so it's pretty awesome just being back and being here.
How different is it in year 7 coming back as a Super Bowl champion?
It's definitely different. I think just because of what the off season entails and just what you go through. A lot of great things, but you stay pretty busy. So it's sort of nice just to be back out here, just playing ball, going to meetings, getting back with the guys. It's sort of almost therapeutic just being back on the field and just being in the huddle and doing what we do.
It was a busy 6 weeks or so for you. Did you get a chance to refresh, or did it just seem like there was events every week?
It was definitely busy, but yeah, definitely got time to refresh. Got some time with family. Really got to enjoy that time. While also doing different things like the book tour and things like that were great experiences, and definitely a grind, but I definitely got time to refresh. But at the same time, like I said, it's nice being back on the playing field, getting all the cobwebs off again and just sort of getting going.
What was Doug's message when he first addressed the team as a whole, or what was his theme kind of for this camp and this season?
That we're just going to continue, our mentality as a team. We attack everything, how we work, how we prepare, what we do in meetings, what we do in walkthrough, how we practice, how we condition, every little detail. That's our mindset, that's the mentality of this team, and it doesn't change. I think, the greatest enemy of success is complacency, and you see it all the time, and we're aware of that. We have a target on us, but we just have to do what we do, and we have to prepare, we have to work our butts off, we have to hold each other accountable. All the little things that it takes to be successful, we have to do day in and day out. But there's such a great brotherhood here of guys that really hold each other accountable. We're going to push each other on the playing field, and that's why this is a special team.
Nick, because the team is at the top of the mountain right now, you guys have just coming off success. Does that make achieving that same goal again easier or harder?
Oh, absolutely harder. It doesn't happen often where a team can go back to back and repeat, and that's a challenge in itself. It's a challenge when everyone's gunning for you. People, us, we're aware of it. What goes on in the off season, just from a mental perspective, a physical perspective, just getting back out here. It goes back to what I was just saying, where we have to hold each other accountable. We have to push each other every day. We have to be aware of complacency, and we really just have to work. We have to stay in the moment, like we always talk about. Last year is not going to help us this year. And I think that's the thing that we've preached. And, it's like the last game isn't going to help you in the next game. You have to continue to prepare, stay in the moment, and do what you can.
What's your impression of how Carson looked compared to like when you last saw him in the spring?
Carson looks great. Y'all watched him. He looks great. He's doing what he does. He's working as hard as he can every single day.
How easy to have some of the guys back on the field that weren't there with you towards the end of the year, like Jason Peters and Darren Sproles, who said this may be his last year.
Yeah.
Now they're back here out on the field.
Those guys were, they've always been so special to the league, especially to this organization. And, last year when they got injured, they were extremely special. They were still there. They were still supporting the team, talking to the guys, helping in any way possible. And now that we get them back on the field, who knows how long they have left. Sproles might have one more year. You want them on the field, want them to succeed because they can help us win. They're Hall of Fame players, but they're also great teammates, and that's the thing I'll remember about those two. Long after we're done playing football, is they were great teammates. So it's awesome having them back on the field.
How much of a challenge is it for you you don't know if you're going to start week 1, you don't know how long you're going to play, if you're going to play. I know you've kind of been through a lot in your young career, but is that a challenge for you to manage mentally in training camp?
I think I just lean on what I've gone through in my life. playing the game, and really just, y'all going to hear me say it, just focusing on the moment, focusing on now. There's going to be a lot of distractions. There's always going to be a lot of distractions in the NFL. That's just how it is. It's on the biggest stage. But really focusing on what I have to do right now to help my team win, help me be at the best physically when I'm out there on the field and mentally, because that'll ultimately help my team no matter what role I'm playing. So I always focus on that, and then it just alleviates everything around me and makes everything a lot more simple.
Nick, with respect to Darren Sproles, you mentioned, you get him back this year, and now you have Corey, who's a different player now than he was at the beginning of last season. How can you guys use them both at the same time? Do they substitute in for one another? Can you put them on the field at the same time? How does that work?
That's a Doug question. Those guys are both special players. They complement each other. Anytime you have a lot of talent, a lot of competition at one position where I say competition because, though we have such a great example is the quarterback room. We have a great quarterback room. We still push each other every day. We compete every day. In the running back room and every position group here, that's how it is. So when you have those guys, you have a guy like Darren Sproles, who's a Hall of Famer, getting to teach the other running backs, through his work ethic, what he does in meetings, what he does in the locker room, how he takes care of his body. You're going to help. It's going to help the entire room. So I don't know about the playing thing. That's Coach Pederson, but I do know that having tremendous players at that position will help us.
You went target on your back. Last year was underdog. Do you feel the difference already?
I guess, it's training camp. We keep a similar mentality. We keep everything tight in this facility. We don't really want the outside noise to affect us. We're aware of it, but we know that what matters is what happens in the locker room, how we are relationally with one another, how we compete out here at practice. So we're aware of it. I mean, we won the Super Bowl last year. Doesn't mean anything this year, but at the same time, we have a lot of work to do to get better, to go out there and do something great again.
In Chip's first year, jockeying back and forth with Mike Vick, it became a media frenzy. Every single day, questions. It might get like that with deeper into camp and maybe your name in trade blocks and stuff. You said it's just stuff you funnel out, but did going through that kind of prepare you for what might be ahead here over the next 6 weeks?
I think going through everything in my career, the ups and downs and all the crazy curves along the way have prepared me for this moment. The perspective of the game. Going into this facility with the mindset that it is a blessing every day and just keeping it loose, not letting things get to me, and that's something that I try to tell the younger players is you get pretty tense. You try to be perfect on the practice field. I was talking with Nate earlier. A quarterback, we're perfectionists a lot of times, and you feel like you don't have a great practice if you don't complete 100% of passes, if you throw an interception. But at the end of the day, if you throw over 70% completion rate in a game, you're doing pretty good. And it's just something that you have to play loose, let things go off your back, have a positive perspective, expect a lot from yourself, but, just keeping that mentality helps me keep my sanity, playing this game, because it's a lot. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things going on playing in Philadelphia, but once again, we have such a great group of guys. I've had such a crazy journey that's helped me in this moment.
At this time last year, you barely practiced. You didn't play in the preseason. How's camp different, and what's the value, in your case, on getting all the first-team snaps at this point?
Just being able to practice. It doesn't matter if it's first, second, third, fourth, fifth string snaps. Anytime you get a snap and you get to, go out there and practice, you just build a database of information, good, bad, whatever it may be. So just the ability to be out there feeling great, healthy, it's a wonderful thing. It's never fun being injured. Any guy who's ever been injured will tell you it is not fun, sitting there watching practice, wanting to be out there with your teammates, in the grueling heat, grinding through it. You just sort of, it's not fun. But at the same time, I feel great. It's just fun being out there.
As you look at it, what's your role? I mean, last year you clearly knew your role going into camp. How do you view your role this year?
My role, it doesn't really change in the sense of, last year going to camp, I wanted to impact the locker room and, and where I was, whatever you want to label me. It doesn't change this year. No one knows my label. It's sort of been that way for a long time, and I've said it before, I don't really care. I know that I love my teammates, I love the city, I love playing for the coaches, and whatever they need of me, I'm going to give them everything I got, and that's how I play the game. You don't need to come out and say, hey, you're the starter, you're the back, or whatever. You're going to get me. That's it. It's not going to affect me. If that affects me, I probably got some issues I got to deal with. So I'm going to go out there, I'm going to sling the ball, I'm going to have trust in my teammate, I'm going to step in that huddle. I love playing with those guys. It's so much fun just stepping in the huddle, seeing their eyes, going out there and playing ball. and that's what I'm going to focus on.
If Doug opted to have those first 3 practices, you would have been one of the selected vets to be here as a quarterback. What was the benefit of having those 3 extra days before getting here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it, just allow the offseason was pretty wild. I mean, we played for X amount of weeks longer. We didn't really take it easy during OTAs. Like, we grinded, we worked hard. We knew we had to get better and improve and get the new players along, the younger players along. So what he did was he allowed us just a couple more days just to get ready. I mean, guys take care of their bodies in that time off. They enjoy time with their family, and then just getting everybody back ready to roll. I think, we came out here today, we had our 10-10-10 practice, we were able to get things moving, and it was great getting everybody in the huddle again, calling the plays. But I'd say, if anything, it just gave us a few more days of rest, ready to roll.
We'll take 2 more questions.
Nick, were you kind of overwhelmed by, I think you covered it before, but you kind of overwhelmed by the response, people lining up at 5 a.m. to get tickets just so they can come back and get autographs?
Yeah, it was very humbling. It was definitely overwhelming, just driving up to the different places and seeing people around the corner. And I mean, we signed a lot of books. We got a lot of people through the lines. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever done, just like the speed and everything. But I got to see a lot of faces, a lot of emotion, a lot of different emotions, because we know what this last season meant for this city, for people around the world that are Eagles fans. So to be able to see it up close and personal was something special that I'll always take with me. And but once again, we're getting ready to go again. There's a lot of expectations on us, and we're getting out here working hard during this training camp.
If anybody in the huddle or your teammates in the locker room just looks at you a little bit differently or interacts with you now that you're a Super Bowl MVP?
No, not really. Which is great. It's great. I've been places where it's not really that way. You get it's how you play, it's what you do. Here, they just know me as Nick. They know my mentality. They know how I feel about them. That I'm gonna do whatever it takes for the team, and it goes back to y'all are in the locker room. Y'all get to see the guys. You get to see how we hang out, what we do. That's the key, and that's the missing element on a lot of teams sometimes. Is you always want to know what makes a team great. Well, it's the relationships. It's when you take the field, you actually care about each other, and when you care about each other, you play harder, and you trust the guy next to you. So when I go in the locker room, it's really the same. I think if anything, I built relationships, getting to know guys further last season. And now I'm here again, and you just continue to build those relationships. But it has nothing to do with the title.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank y'all.
Carson, you did some 11 on 11. Forward here, will it be for you to balance being smart, make sure you're 100% healthy, and the competitor inside of you that really wants to play, of course, for week 1?
Yeah, we got a good plan. A good plan to just progress with how I feel, what the doctors are saying. It's not just me making decisions, it's not just coach, it's not just the docs, it's really a culmination of everybody. So I'm not real worried about that. I like where I'm at right now, and I think our plan that we have is a good one.
You did some 11 on 11s today. When did you find out you were cleared for that, and how did it feel to kind of check one more thing off?
That was kind of the plan that we put in place throughout the summer to just build to that, and then I was finally cleared yesterday to do that, and so I was excited just to be out there today and run around with the guys, and so yeah, it will just progress from there, but it felt good to be back out there.
There was a report that the Eagles were considering putting you on PUP. Was there ever a conversation made with you as to whether they were going to do so?
No. Carson, first 11 on 11. Everybody talks about the physical rehabilitation from the ACL, but there's a mental one as well. All those bodies flying around. How is it to get over that hurdle?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good. Obviously, like you said, it was the first time out there with guys kind of all around me. But you do some things and rehab just to get used to that. And mentally, I feel like I've been getting through it really well.
Being cleared for 11 on 11, is that the same thing as cleared for contact?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's still a goal.
That'll be the next step, the next goal. Yep.
Are there going to be days where, like, let's say if you're doing 11 on 11s one day, you might scale back another day? I mean, is it kind of going to be a progression?
We'll just progress it with really how I feel, how it reacts, what coaches are wanting, and then trainers and everything. But it's hard to just play the what if game. But for now, it's just we'll just stay the course and see how I feel as we go.
How did you feel and how did you react as you were going through it? Yeah, felt great.
Obviously, it was a limited number of reps today, kind of a shorter practice, but felt great just to be back out there, be under center, be with the guys again, whatever capacity it was today. But I had fun out there. Felt good.
How about the brace? Is it limiting your motion at all?
It feels good. Went through just trying to get used to the brace all off season and just rehabbing with it and trying different ones, and I feel pretty good in it.
Carson, as you're going through this, are you having moments where you wake up certain days and go, yes, it's feeling better, I feel like I can do a little bit more? Are you having those smaller milestones where you can almost feel great about this progress?
Yeah, I mean, that happens really ever since the injury. That's just kind of been one of those up and down things. Some days it's a little more sore, some days it feels great, and that's just what rehab is. That's what injuries are, and but so far it's been pretty good.
The first game 6 weeks away. At what point in these next 6 weeks do you need to be cleared for contact in order to feel comfortable playing?
I'm not really sure, honestly. I would probably just say September 6th, be cleared by then, and as long as that's the case, I'll feel good. But that's the goal, and again, we're just going to progress along here and see what happens.
Carson Wentz said that you and he are married to some extent, and he's in this for the long haul. Besides talking with the medical doctors, what's that conversation like with Doug for how much you can do each day?
Yeah, I mean, we're really close throughout this process, just like we were last year, even before the injury, just with the offense and everything else. So now to throw another layer of the injury and rehab and coming back from that, we're just really in each other's ear a lot, just trying to be on the same page. It's been good.
The long rehab process, the long days with especially guys on offense like Jason Peters and Darren Sproles, both back out there today, and Darren said, this could possibly be his last year.
I mean, it was awesome to see those guys, just to, like you mentioned, the long rehab grind that we had with all the guys, and just to finally see them back out there running around with the team just like myself, it was just kind of a relief just to be back out there, and now we got work to do.
How hard is it to balance the athlete's urge to get back with the mental thing that you have to realize you have to be careful?
Yeah, kind of like I said earlier, just we have a good plan in place. We have a good plan in place, and yes, as a competitor, you want to be out there, you want to do this, and this, but it's not just my call, it's not just coach's call, it's not just the trainer's call, it's a culmination of everybody, and we got a good plan in place.
What are your limitations at this point? Are there certain things you can't do?
Just contact.
So what do you feel like you can roll out and you're not having too much pain or anything?
Yeah, I feel great.
One of the obstacles for teams coming off championships is complacency, because they've already done it. Obviously, you were a big part of that team last year, but you weren't actually in the game for the Super Bowl. Is it up to you then to be the guy to kind of lead and to show, maybe single out guys if you do sense that there is some sort of complacency?
I think we got some awesome leadership from guys on defense, offense, myself, really the guys that were injured last year. There's just a culmination of guys that are hungry to do it again. Like you said, complacency is something guys sometimes fear, but I haven't felt that, I haven't sensed that ever since OTAs, mini camp, and now here in training camp. It's just a great group of guys that are hungry to go do it again.
Carson, what was Doug's overall big picture message or theme when he addressed the team for the first time?
Kind of that, the no complacency. Just kind of attack everything every day. He's big on taking ownership of this team and what you do every single day, and it's just a culmination effort of guys just really coming in and attacking. We believe we're going to be the hardest working team in the league. We're going to practice hard, every day, and that's kind of been his unifying message over and over, and really the same message he had last year. That's just who we are. That's what our makeup is, and that's been great just to see him remain steady throughout the wins and the losses.
Carson, whether you're out here or watching tape, is there more emphasis on your end on mechanics and footwork because of the nature of coming back from that injury than there would normally be if you were completely healthy at this time?
You could say that maybe early in the process. Just making sure everything looks good and feels good. But I thought throughout really the spring and the summer and everything, looking back at that, I thought things came along really well, and I feel good where I'm at.
Does your arm feel stronger because at a certain point you were working exclusively from the waist up?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say, but I mean, my arm feels very good.
You've had kind of an eventful 5 weeks, getting married, going on a honeymoon and everything. How has that been with, also trying to, keep pushing with your rehab and everything?
It was a good balance. It was a great balance just this summer. Just being back in North Dakota, doing some things for the foundation, but just finding ways to just keep getting workouts in, and even on the honeymoon, just finding ways to keep getting a little rehab in and things like that. But it was an amazing summer, I'll say that.
Where were you on your honeymoon as far as rehab?
I got some workouts in. In the fitness center.
Carson, does not being able to play the Super Bowl push you even more to play Week 1?
I'm going to be smart with it. Obviously not playing in the Super Bowl, we've talked about that over and over and over again ever since last year, and it's no fun. No one ever wants to do that, but I know I'll be out there when I'm ready. I won't rush it, but so far I feel good.
Is it pretty black and white for you that if you're cleared, you're playing, or is it the way you're playing that matters to you?
I think once I'm cleared, I'll be good. It's one of those things. It's a process. Mentally, got to make sure I mentally come along with it. So far, I feel good. But as we just keep introducing more and more, we'll just see how that goes and how it feels. But I think that the biggest thing is just being cleared.
I know you would need sort of at least one preseason game, or does that not worry?
No, my goal is the September 6th. We'll see what happens with all that. But when I'm ready, I'll be ready.
Do you expect to be practicing the ones before then?
Yeah, I think I will. We'll see. Again, it's kind of just progress as we feel comfortable. But I am confident that I will progress with the ones and do some things here and there. And Coach has a plan for that, so I'll deflect questions to him on that one.
As a quarterback recovering from an ACL, knee injuries that you had, is it difficult not to develop any little ticks in your delivery and in your sequencing just because you're trying to favor the knee a little bit?
I mean, for maybe some. But just going back, just early in the rehab process, I got the camera out and just dissected my mechanics from really the moment I could start throwing, just to make sure everything looked good. And I had a QB coach come in that I worked with last off season, and worked with him just to make sure everything looked good. And for early on, I made sure that was all solid. And so now going forward, I feel great with it.
We have time for 2 more questions.
What takes more getting used to, with the brace or the ring that you're wearing on your finger there?
The ring feels great, so probably the brace.
Are you going to play with that?
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Carson.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.